Hey traders, checking in on Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency space. We've got a tightening daily range in formation, and we'll look at the key levels as to when those ranges are going to break. And we'll also take a look at some of these stronger altcoins with plenty of space to be looking for daily higher lows. Stay tuned. So checking in on the dollar to start it off, we've been noticing ever since the daily trend change occurred, things have shifted. Pretty much right about here, we had the metals continue a tick-for-tick inverse relationship with the dollar for the most part, but we had the S&P 500 and stocks as well as the cryptocurrency space disregard what the dollar was doing a bit less at this point in time. So we're going to continue watching that relationship. The best case scenario for the asset bulls would be to set a daily lower high and lower low confirming a downtrend, which means zoom out because weekly consolidation is then underway, and that would be ideal. But what I care more about is the Bitcoin tightening range. I've been watching it on the 2-day time frame, although at this point, I like it on the daily time frame as well. We have known to be watching for an equilibrium at this point since about right here. Why right here? Because we had a huge dump, not a huge jump, a big drop, volatility. And as soon as you see a sizable bounce in response to that, you then know, okay, equilibrium becomes the most likely scenario. We set our lower high, our higher low, another lower high with a little double top 2 out of the last 5 days. And now it is all about 10,135 as to whether or not the bulls are going to maintain their support and stay in this tightening range. If they do, we know it's going to be a fairly boring weekend over the next couple of days as things continue to tighten up. So this tells us a number of things. Number one, it can tell us to be less patient, more patient, I should say, as a trader and wait for this to break. If I have a bull lean, I'm going to be looking to potentially make an entry near support and placing a stop under support. And if I have a bear lean, I'm doing the opposite against resistance. If I don't have a lean and I'm unsure, I'm waiting for the break. How this daily tightening range breaks will have some solid implications on the bigger picture scenario we've been talking about. Is it a monthly bull flag or is it a 2-month lower high being set that would lead to consolidation into 2021? If this pattern breaks bullish, keeping in mind that we need to break both resistance levels here, we are then increasing the odds of a monthly bull flag. If we break bearish, breaking both support levels, we are increasing the odds of the 2-month equilibrium and continued tightening range. And now that we have our monthly candles starting here, a new one, we can see, yes, still a potential monthly bull flag, but if that support level were to break 2-month time frame, we would then be, I guess we still have a whole nother month to go in this candle, but again, we would be pulling back from that high, and we would then be looking for a higher low compared to 3,858. So daily equilibrium, probably going to break sometime mid next week, but certainly watching every day as it could happen at any moment. The Bitcoin dominance chart, they did something to adjust their levels here. This used to be 62, where we were seeing all this resistance. Looks like it dropped down into the low 60s. Not sure what's going on there, but we can see that the bulls are not showing control. At this point, we are watching for a daily lower high compared to 60.64, but overall, the weekly chart would have to see a clear bull break of 60.64 to continue this momentum shift, because 60.64 is the highest level that we have seen on this chart in just about 2 months, which is notable. So if that level remains resistance, the altcoin bulls keep their control overall. If that level breaks and we get a bull break over that level, then we're going to start seeing some solid increase in the relative strength of Bitcoin. ETH USD is in the same tightening daily chart, and we have our double bottom at 310 and 313. Our lower high is now set at 370, and we're looking for a higher low compared to 313. Pretty solid bounce off the low of today already, a nice little $10 bounce, and we currently have 10% of space to work with before that support level would break. So we are patiently waiting, and we are watching for when it breaks, and I'm going to watch it with the Bitcoin chart because one of them will likely break first, and that could be a potential clue as to the likely direction that the other would break as well. The ETH BTC chart needs a daily trend change to shift this momentum. It's been a very clear lower high, lower low pattern ever since this equilibrium broke bearish. Can the bulls hold 3088 and break 337, or actually 3386 is that top, to confirm a daily trend change? That would be notable. You could also be watching this downtrend resistance line. I would be putting it right about there. And it's all about whether or not the bulls can change the daily trend. If they do, we zoom out and we look for a weekly lower high, as there's a lot of space for it to form, but that would be keeping our weekly 12-period exponential support, which would certainly be a short-term victory for the bulls if they can pull that off this week. Theta USDT has been a lead altcoin bull coming off the all-time high. Daily consolidation right now with tons of space for a higher low, and the hourly RSI keeps getting just above oversold or just too oversold and bouncing. That shows us that bulls are still buying dips and that the consolidation is remaining healthy. If we see a bull break here of 70 cents, it's an hourly trend change back in favor of the bulls. We would then zoom out and look for a 4-hour lower high compared to 74055. And if I want to be looking for a bull entry for the daily higher low, I would like to see an inverse head and shoulders pattern where we have our left shoulder. This would be our head. If we fail to break 74 cents, it's our right neckline. We then pull back for a 4-hour higher low compared to 65 cents and then ideally break bullish. So if I'm not in a position right now, I can say, okay, I'm going to remain patient. I'm going to watch for a lower high. If we pull back, I'm going to scale into a couple entries. I'm going to put my stop under that low. If I'm right, we change the trend. We set our daily higher low and I have a great entry. If I'm wrong, I stop out with an acceptable loss. That is how I play trend change attempts often. And that's what I would be watching for on Theta USDT at this point. If we see another lower high and lower low, at that point we're watching for our first 4-hour oversold conditions, still looking for a daily higher low. Bulls would certainly prefer to maintain the exponential support with where we close on this candle, as we have been doing for a month at this point. Link USD, also looking for a daily higher low. The size of this bounce was massive, 40% plus bounce, but fading back down without the daily trend change. And now is when I would start getting interested, looking for a higher low compared to 731. And that's because the 4-hour RSI is right down towards oversold. So ideally, to scale in, it would be looking for an initial entry on the break of $9 with 4-hour RSI right above oversold. Maybe I have another entry down just above 8 psychological support. And then my stop goes under 731. The goal for the bulls is to obviously break 1123 and see continuation. But I would say at this point in time, with the amount of pullback we've seen from that 1123 high, wouldn't be surprised to see a tightening daily range be the result of this bounce either. So keeping an eye out for a 4-hour trend change back to the bulls for a new daily higher low to be set, and for the bulls to attempt a daily trend change for this weekly bounce to try and get some follow through. BNB USDT is also standing out as a strong bull. I still like this 2-day time frame for clarity. We have our high, low, lower high, and plenty of space to be looking for a higher low compared to $22. So we have 20% of space to be working with, and I would assume that the most likely scenario is a higher low compared to 22.10. So if I am a bull looking to play the weekly uptrend, which is still intact, I am looking for an entry on the daily higher low. 22.10 is the most important support level to me, because if 22.10 breaks, we then confirm a weekly downtrend, which means more prolonged consolidation will be underway. So it's up to the bulls to maintain 22.10 and ideally break 29.56 to resume an uptrend after the breakout. Was that all-time highs on BNB? No. Not that far away though, 20% from the high of the past couple weeks. XRP USD and LTC remain weakest, trying to do the same thing that Link USD is trying to do, but obviously coming from a very different standpoint on the weekly time frame. Bulls would have to hold 21.9 and break resistance of 248, and on LTC, a little bit more choppy, a little bit less clear. But what I do now, knowing that those names have been some lead bulls, is I want to look at the Bitcoin pairing chart, because the last thing I want to be doing is playing a name bearish that is due for a bounce on its BTC pairing. And XRP is looking for a weekly higher low to form. It's certainly been struggling to find it, but less favorable to be looking bearish on XRP and LTC after seeing weeks and weeks of pullback on this Bitcoin pairing. And it's actually starting to shape up, I'm just seeing it right now, as a potential falling wedge. So the bottom line, the takeaway for me is being a bit more cautious playing the names that have been consistently weaker. And that is a falling wedge worth watching. We could easily stay within it for another few months, but it's a falling wedge. Let's see if LTC, BTC is similar. Somewhat similar. You could start that anchor point up there. If you want a bit more relevant action, you're starting it down here. Either way, over the next few months, we'll be keeping an eye on this Bitcoin pairing of our weaker names, XRP and LTC, to see if indeed it is a falling wedge that is shaping up. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to do good things out there. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Feel free to ask any questions. Like, subscribe, share. We'll see you soon.
Right. Gonna go get some tacos or what?
Yes, sir. Hell yeah.
You stoked?
Oh, yeah.